We're grateful to share our love of vintage toys, games, books, and comics with you. If you're enjoying the journey, please like and subscribe. Your support helps us keep the channel growing. Thank you for being part of the RetroCult. Greetings, RetroCultists! As Halloween approaches, it's time for another RetroCult look at a spooky retro find. This time, we're going to look at Gotham by Gaslight, A Tale of the Batman. Now, this comic was originally published in 1989. It actually came out after Halloween. I was working at Carolina Comics and Collectibles back in those days, and I actually remember this coming in, I believe in early November, not long after Halloween. It actually arrived the same day as another classic DC graphic novel, Arkham Asylum. Maybe we'll do a deep dive into that. If not, sometime this year, that would make another great Halloween video. But anyway, this is one of my favorite Batman comics ever. For one thing, I just love the setting in it, like Victorian, the late Victorian era. That's actually one of my favorite, most interesting time periods. Of course, Jack the Ripper murders happen then. Those are fascinating, always interesting to read about. And of course, the basic story here in Gotham by Gaslight is, what if Jack the Ripper brought his killing spree to Gotham City in the late 1880s and was met by a Victorian version of Batman, or the Batman, as they do call him persistently. And I actually do, I've always kind of liked calling him the Batman instead of just Batman, so it's like a title instead of his name. But anyway, this series was the beginning of the Elseworlds series, series of stories from DC that ran from 1989. I think they stopped publishing those in the mid-2000s, and they've recently brought back the Elseworlds imprint. And the Elseworlds imprint, if you don't know, was a series of one-shots and mini-series that take your favorite DC characters and they'd put them in an alternate timeline or an alternate situation. So they're all kind of imaginary stories. They don't really impact the continuity of the main DC universe. It was just, there are so many great Elseworlds stories. Maybe we'll even start a look into all the different Elseworlds stories, but especially for this time of year, I thought it was best to start at the beginning with Gotham by Gaslight, which is one of my favorites, not just for the material itself, but the story is really interesting. If anything, my biggest complaint is that it's only a one-shot. I felt like this definitely could have been a multi-issue miniseries, but Brian Augustyn did an amazing job telling the story, wrapping it up in one issue. It's a really great story. Now, the art is done by Mike Mignola, as we, it's weird saying Michael Mignola, but because I've always just heard him referred to as Mike Mignola. He's the creator of Hellboy. That's probably what he's most famous for. This was pretty early in his career. I really think he had only been doing comics. He only had done a couple of comics I was aware of. Another Mike Mignola DC comic you should definitely check out if you've never read is the 4-issue limited series Cosmic Odyssey, which I believe came out a year before Gotham by Gaslight. The art in it is amazing, and it's a great story. Inking was done by P. Craig Russell, who is a fantastic artist in his own right. Really famous for a run of Elric graphic novels that he did for Marvel, I think under the Epic imprint. If you've never checked out any of P. Craig Russell's art, definitely check it out. And David Hornig on doing the colors. Now, I've got a couple of editions of this story, and we're gonna kind of flip through it together. But actually, we're not gonna flip through the original. No insult to Mr. Horning's colors, which are amazing in this. We'll even take a quick look. I mean, they really fit the mood of the story. I mean, we're in the foggy back alleys of Victorian Gotham City. So his colors are amazing, but the version we're going to flip through today is from the Batman Noir series of black and white reprints, because I honestly think black and white suits this story so well. So this was one of DC's early prestige format. They used to refer to this as a prestige format. It has a square spine. I think the first series they did with prestige format, I may be wrong, I didn't research this, was The Dark Knight Returns. I know those are prestige formats, and there were some other series that also used that format, but it really suited a lot of the Elseworlds stories, at least early on, were prestige format. So this was great. It was $3.95 at the time. You know, in 1989, that was a lot of money for a comic book. Although nowadays, that's actually, what, 4 cents cheaper than your standard comic book, which I believe are $3.99 most of the time now. I think it was a great value for the money. As I said, Brian Augustine's writing, he did a great job telling the story. It's a very tight story. It moves. But I feel like it could have been done a little better, at least as a 2-issue. Now, this book does have a sequel called Master of the Future, which came out, I believe, 2 or 3 years later, also written by Mr. Augustine. But it doesn't have the same mood or feel of this. It feels like a completely different book, because it's actually more of a Jules Verne adventure story than kind of a gothic detective horror like this one. So there have been a couple of editions. We'll go through the ones I have. This is the anniversary edition, or the deluxe edition. This came out, let's take a look. Should have looked this up sooner, sorry about that. But this was published in 2020. Again, it has the Magnolia cover that I love. Nice font usage. But this also, this volume includes both Gotham by Gaslight and Master of the Future. So it's a slightly larger format. Then you can see the standard. The standard actually fits inside it. The paper quality is glossier definitely than this, although the prestige formats did have a heavyweight paper. This one has a slightly glossier look, so it's a beautiful edition. Beautiful edition, definitely worth looking out. Now this, though, this is the one we're going to be looking at today. Gotham by Gaslight Batman Noir. Now, my one regret on this volume is I wish they had reused the Magnolia Gotham by Gaslight cover. Instead, they went with the cover of Master of the Future. It's a great cover. Eduardo Barreto, who did the art in Master of the Future, is an amazing artist. No, this is not a ding on his work. I just would have preferred the Magnolia, this cover. Like, I would have loved for this to have been the front cover of the book. But anyway, it is what it is. But this volume also includes both Master of the Future, Gotham by Gaslight and Master of the Future. So as we open it up here, and our title page, again, Magnolia's work, I love his just abstract work. I mean, this shirt, a lot of people would say, oh, that just looks like a blob, but that's Batman. You can tell that's Batman swinging down. This, they actually used this artwork for one of the ads at the time. It's an amazing, like, this victim about to be killed by Jack the Ripper, but Batman shows up, and I love Jack the Ripper's reaction. Oh my god. So, but yeah, beautiful. Nice black and white reproduction of Gotham by Gaslight that only reinforces my point. Oh, why wasn't that the cover? Love it. Also love the little indicia art here with Batman over the gabled roofs. This actually From Hell letter by Robert Bloch was the introduction. It's also in the original edition from 1989. Nice touch. And now we get into the story. I remember the moon, a cold and bloated orb. It watches with indifference as we pass below. So you see two people. I'm guessing you're going to figure out who they are. Thomas and Martha Wayne. They're in a coach. They get stopped by a highwayman who robs them. Thomas tries to protect his family and gets shot. And then, of course, Martha dies as well. I am to be next, I'm certain of it. Next, but for the bats. Disturbed by the sounds, I suppose, they swarm from the trees. The bats. Yes, I remember the bats. And the moon. Great, great way to pull us into the story. On the next page, we find out we're actually in Vienna in 1889, and Bruce Wayne is telling that story to a famous psychologist, Sigmund Freud, who he's been there to study with. The nice part about this is as they're having their discussion here about, the things Bruce has learned and, how he's been on a tour of Europe studying psychology, criminology, all these things, there's a really nice Easter egg in this panel where where Bruce says, "But my time is short. You will just have to trust me to be careful and to have been a good student." And Freud's response, such a great Easter egg. "Do not fret upon that. A good student you indeed have been. My friend the London detective said very much the same." You are leaving then. So nice little nod to, can you think of any famous London detectives from around the late 19th century? I'm guessing you're knowing that's Sherlock Holmes. So he's taking a ship back to Gotham City. But while on board, he actually meets up with an old family friend, Jacob Packer, or as he calls him, Uncle Jake. He's an old family friend. Now, another interesting little Easter egg for Jack the Ripper fans is there's this royal duke and his doctor that are trying to be incognito on board the ship, and he's leaving to escape a scandal, something to do with a woman, I hear, because there was a pretty out there conspiracy theory. If you've ever seen the movie From Hell, it kind of talks about it, that actually this is Queen Victoria's oldest son, and he was known to have some dalliances with lower class women that would have been a scandal. And one of the conspiracy theories is that the royal physician was actually Jack the Ripper, and that the Jack the Ripper murders were actually just a cover-up for the to cover up the scandal. There's also an amazing Christopher Plummer playing Sherlock Holmes movie called Power by Decree, or Murder by Decree. Sorry, not Power by Decree. Murder by Decree. Check that out. That also uses that particular conspiracy theory as the basis for its story. So, anyway, Bruce catches up with his, old family friend, who's also leaving London, has been in London for a few years, and is leaving to go back to Gotham City. So Bruce arrives back and is, of course, met by loyal Alfred. And I love the Victorian look of Wayne Manor, but he gets right to business. So apparently he had been planning on becoming Batman for a while, I'm assuming because of the bat imagery that is obviously a big part of his psyche after his parents' murder, because he apparently had the suit ready even before he left to go to Europe. And Alfred says, "It's been waiting for you." So, of course, we have to stop in on good old Commissioner Gordon, the head of Inspector Gordon. I'm sorry, he's not Commissioner yet. He's just Inspector Gordon. And he bears a striking resemblance, especially in this panel, to a certain U.S. president who liked to walk softly and carry a big stick. They meet. He tells him about how all the weird goings on in Gotham City, and how the city in this new industrial age seems to be getting to be a darker place. And since the criminal element is getting stronger and stranger, take this one: a real merry widower wed rich old ladies, then poison them with strychnine. 10 of them, 10, tried to kill himself when we caught him. The loon took some of his own poison. Not enough. Didn't kill him, just paralyzed his face. Happy looking Jasper, eh? So, see, that's what I got excited about. I wanted to see later appearances of the Victorian Joker. You have to look at lots of Easter eggs in the ads, like Sickert and Company. Sickert was the name of, I believe that's the name of an artist that was believed to also have possibly been Jack the Ripper. But just the feel of the city, Mignola's artwork, you really feel the shadows. I even love how you get this sense of fog at the ground level. You see the poverty in Gotham. But of course, we now have to have our blood in the water moment, where we actually see Batman in action for the first time. You see these guys, there's a lookout, these guys are robbing a safe, they're about to blow it, and of course Batman bursts in. And you really, thinking about it back in this day and age, you really could have seen how, with a more superstitious society, the dressing up as a giant bat, especially if you had Batman's training and abilities, you could make people think you were a giant bat. And I love how he even uses, like, you can actually see the fear in these guys. That's awesome. Then you get like a little, it's the 80s, right? So we get an 80s montage, this 2-page spread with the newspaper articles talking about how Bat haunts the city, but you also see these little articles about how a body found, young woman brutally slain. Bat haunts city. Is Batman, Bat-Man, killer. City gripped by fear. But then the next story is bodies of 3 murdered women linked to mysterious appearances of the bizarre night creature. And then the Duke of Clarence, that's our prince that we saw on the ship. There's a clipping that there's a party honoring him. So then we go to that and we actually see the party with and of course Bruce Wayne, as one of the social elite of Gotham City, is going to be there. And of course people are talking about how some people believe he actually is like a giant vampire or something. Of course the police commissioner, who's Commissioner Tolliver, doesn't believe any of it. Mark my words, gentlemen, so long as I am the Commissioner of Police, lunatics will not walk the streets of Gotham with impunity. But then, and we see this lady out kind of by herself. Nice address, 666. Not a pleasant place. But then we see like an internal monologue. I have found her again. I had thought myself rid of her mockery. Many times I had cut that laughter from her throat. And yet, still she taunts me. As in London, she proves deucedly difficult to kill. No matter. It's easy work. and a task I very much enjoy. Oh yeah, another gruesome murder. And then of course, beautiful splash with the clippings. Jack the Ripper in Gotham, ghastly murders mirror London slang. Oh, and now we see Batman on the hunt. Unfortunately, he arrives too late. But there's a Jack the Ripper note, similar to his From Hell letter in London. Hello, dear boss. Hello to America. Hello to Gotham City. Truly the streets are paved in gold, though they'll run red 'fore I'm through. My knife, as sharp as ever, and no whore is safe, even if she don't take money. Ha ha, yours, Jack the Ripper. And it's addressed to Inspector Gordon. So Tolliver comes in as Gordon is pondering over this and announces that they have their man. We're off to Wayne Manor. Uh-oh. Yeah, so it seems that, you know, the murder's starting up as Bruce just gets back from Europe, from London, and now he has no alibi for where he is every night. And then they find a glove and a knife, and a scalpel, actually, not just a knife. So next, the trial begins, and it looks pretty bad for Bruce. Even the papers proclaim Bruce Wayne is Jack the Ripper, millionaire sentenced to hang. So he gets locked up, of course, in Arkham Asylum. Where else would you lock up a potential Jack the Ripper? But it's good to have friends. And so Inspector Gordon comes to see him, and he actually shows him the files. It's everything we have on the Ripper, filched from Tolliver. What you may find, I don't know. So he had actually gotten a message out to him asking him for it. So then Bruce, obviously being a great detective, as he's going over these more and more, but then we actually see Jack the Ripper stalking prey. But for if you believe in my innocence, then you know that the real killer is still loose. That's Bruce, waiting to strike again. So we see that Jack the Ripper is actually intentionally not killing any other women until after Bruce is hanged. We see some more of Bruce's journal entries. Jake stopped by with terrible news. My appeal was denied. The powers that be in Gotham, anxious to set this whole mess behind them, are content that they have found their killer. Jake is crushed. He has worked so hard on my behalf. I must redouble my efforts. I hang in 5 days. So now we're closing on October 29th. The Gotham killings are a perfect match for the Whitechapel murders of a year ago. The methods of attack, dissection, and disposal are all identical, executed with a surgeon's finesse. The taunting letters sent by the Ripper to the British bobbies match those sent to Gordon right down to the dots on the eyes. It is clearly the work of the same man. But who? And why has he framed me so perfectly? I do not know. I do not know. Then on October 30th, nothing. And a little frustrated, as you can imagine, considering you're about to hang. He throws one of the books, but then something catches attention. Daguerreotypes, the photography method of the Civil War, because Thomas Wayne, his father, was a Civil War surgeon for the Union Army in the same unit with Jacob Parker, where they became an age-old friend. The regimental flag, the symbol stamped on the murder knife. So the knife that was planted at Wayne Manor is the same as the regimental standard. This knife belongs to my father, but he's long dead, long gone, and the others, of course. Master Bruce, are you still there, sir? Only briefly, Alfred. I've opened the door. I need your help leaving. I'm leaving. So he's already planned his escape. So he actually, as you might imagine, he switches clothes with Alfred, and unfortunately Alfred has to stay quiet and in his cell while he goes out and retrieves his true outfit. And of course, in the slums of Gotham, we find that Jack the Ripper, considering that, you know, there's only a day left, he needs wait no longer. And he's about to kill this poor woman, and here's our beautiful artwork with Batman. And Jack the Ripper, of course, flees, shouting, "No, no, no!" And Batman is right behind him the whole time, telling him to run. Alright, he gets a good swing on Batman, but it's going to take more than that. And I love that art, that close-up of Batman's mask. That's one of my favorite parts, is the costume itself is probably my favorite Bat costume, just because the design of it is so perfect for the era. So he apparently steals a wagon. He tries to run Batman down, but Batman's right behind him. That would have been an amazing action figure. Batman on horseback. So he jumps the carriage. He manages to stop the carriage, and then it's revealed that it's Jacob Parker. Why, Packer? Why did you kill all those women? Had to shut her up, stop her laughter. Whose laughter? Martha Wayne. And of course we've ended in the family, we end up at the family cemetery. Martha. So then you get the kind of backstory that Jacob was actually in love with Martha, but of course she's in love with Thomas Wayne, and they were a beautiful couple. And then you find out that Jacob Parker even paid the highwayman to kill Thomas and Martha Wayne. But the kid got away, so he intended for Bruce to die as well, but the bats saved him. And now Bruce reveals who he is. I'm not laughing. You killed my parents, you killed those women, and you framed me for your crimes. Now I should kill you. But he won't. This is your man. This man is your Ripper, Gordon. The man who really slaughtered those poor women. His name is Jacob Parker. Well, Jacob's not done yet. He's still got another scalpel, and he manages to slice at Batman, but he doesn't get far. Nice 45 round from old Inspector Gordon himself. Puts a permanent end to Jack the Ripper. And Batman disappears into the night. And then I love this last page, because this was, of course, earlier in '89 we had the Batman movie, and it also ended with a very similar scene of Batman standing atop a gothic tower in Gotham City. Now that one had the bat signal. Here we don't really get a bat signal, but I love this image of Batman hunched on a gargoyle overlooking the city. And then we just end with a panel of bats. Alright, and that was Batman Gotham by Gaslight. Just a quick flip through. I definitely would recommend. This is definitely a must read, especially if you're a Batman fan or interested in the Jack the Ripper killings. It's a great fictional version of that story, and we had all said for years, I would love to see Batman versus Jack the Ripper. That just seems like a great matchup, and we got it in 1989. Now, another thing I'll mention is I actually have quite a few copies. During probably 3 years ago, while I was at Chester's Collectibles here in Winston-Salem, in among all the toys and everything, there was a bag filled with like 10 copies of Gotham by Gaslight, and he was asking $5 for the whole bag, so I definitely bought it, and I've given out copies to people who I think would be interested. But so what I'm going to do here is I have a few copies left out of that, besides my own personal copy, and what I'm going to offer to you guys is I would say the first 2 people that comment on the video with if you request a copy of the book. Like I said, I only have 2 copies I can give away, but if you'll just tell me you're interested in a copy, then we'll find a way to get in contact, and I will mail you a copy of the original 1989 prestige format Gotham by Gaslight. So if you're interested, just comment down below and just tell me you're interested in a copy. And the first 2 people that do that, they'll get a copy. One last thing that's kind of related to this is this past weekend we were at McKay's in Winston-Salem, and it just happened to be fate that they actually had a carded version of the Elseworlds Gotham by Gaslight Batman. This was a great line of figures. I really miss this one from DC Direct. They actually did several series of Elseworlds figures, but of course this one I had to have. So this is the Gotham by Gaslight Batman action figure. Try to give you a closer look. The design on the figure is amazing. It just looks like Mignola's illustrations come to life. Funny thing about that, though, is so I bought this on Friday night, and then over the weekend I was doing some reorganizing in my comic book room. We call it the comic book store. I was doing some work. I'm trying to get some figures organized, getting some things that we're going to be selling, and just trying to make room for other things. And of course, what did I find? But that I already had one. So I guess if 1 is good, 2 is better. So this one this is the loose figure. I can give you a closer look at him. Now some of this is actual dust, sorry about that. But it actually just adds a nice effect on him. He kind of looks dusty from the dirty streets of Gotham. But actually, I hope you can see this, but even in the paint scheme on the boots and the cape, this is paint to make it look like mud splatter. So he's got the riding boots, just this design of this costume, and the double like cloak for the cape. Oh, one of the best designed Batman suits ever. Utility belt's nice, and instead of batarangs, he has little throwing knives. But so anyway, so I guess the lesson here is always double check what you have before you go buying something else, but I'm not too broke up about it. I don't know that I'm worried about having one on the card too. Well, that does it for this video. I have a couple of other videos that I would like to get done before Halloween, but time's running short and life gets in the way sometimes. I'm not sure if I'm going to get those done this year. I will definitely do my best. But if not, I hope all of you have a happy and safe Halloween, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.